Next presenter is Sarai Carter. Sarai's senior project was mentored by Joel Barnes. It focused on environmental studies. I know that's kind of weird. Environmental studies and regenerative design, and it is titled Butte Creek Greenways, Trailhead and Restoration Site. Sarai?
Thank you. One of the main reasons I came to Prescott College is because of the interdisciplinary nature of the studies here. The recognition that seemingly disparate fields of study are actually complementary and can enhance each other. My competence is in regenerative design. I'm combining restoration ecology with ecological design. So regenerative design, if you're wondering, is focused on processes and systems. It's holistic. It goes beyond sustainability in a way because it doesn't focus on creating a stasis. It really kind of sets the bar higher than that. It describes processes that restore, renew, or revitalize their own sources of energy and materials, and it's concerned with integrating the needs of society with human systems. And this fits perfectly with ecological restoration, which is an intentional activity that initiates or accelerates the recovery of an ecosystem's health, integrity, and sustainability. Some of you may be familiar with ecological restoration, and I assure you it's more than planting trees. Good restoration goes beyond that to consider many different landscape layers, including historical, economic, aesthetic, moral. And here we are with the Butte Creek Restoration Council, which I have been president of for the past 2 years. I've been honored to hold that position. It engages the Prescott College community, our surrounding neighbors, and the Prescott community to restore, enhance, and celebrate Butte Creek as the centerpiece of our campus and an important part of the Granite Creek watershed. So here we are on campus. You are right here in the Crossroads Center. What you see outlined in green is the existing Butte Creek Restoration Site. It was started back in 1996 by a group of students who actually worked with the city and convinced them to close down Garden Street, which no longer runs through here but actually crossed right through the bed of the creek. So they shut it down and they started revegetating it, and we've been carrying on the work ever since, monitoring water quality, revegetating, pulling out invasive elms and other species, and generally educating the public about restoration and the site. And what you see in yellow over here is the site of my senior project. It's an extension of the restoration site and the creation of a trailhead park for the City Greenways Trail. This is just a perspective of it, standing on Willow Street looking towards the campus to give you an idea of what it looks like on the ground. We have a beautiful ponderosa here guarding the entrance, and these are the new student dorms. And the creek flows right along here. So in the creation of a design plan for this site, I came across Sustainable Sites Initiative. It's a voluntary rating system. Some of you may be familiar with the U.S. Green Building Council LEED design rating system. And actually the student dorms are LEED Platinum, which is great. And this operates on a similar scorecard system, which, if everything goes to plan, will also be Platinum Sustainable Sites Initiative certified. So it'll be great complementary to have the student dorms and the surrounding landscape also Platinum. And I loved this initiative because it focuses not just on the planning, not just the landscaping, but it really takes into consideration the ecosystem that it's in, what benefits it has for the human aspect, recreational use, pretty much everything. Sorry. So we'll talk about the geophysical first, and I just have to say that I love that Aisha spoke about the geophysical and the biological and the human aspects, because that's exactly what is going to be guiding us through the plan tonight. The geophysical, in case you're not familiar, is talking about the hydrological, the geological, soils, all the inanimate parts of the landscape. So in Arizona, as many of you may know, we have a pretty extreme weather cycle. We go from the dry season to the monsoon season. This was taken in the monsoon season. This is actually part of Butte Creek right next to the site. And it's totally natural for us to have these crazy floods and then dry periods, but what isn't natural is all of the hardscape in the landscape. We, unfortunately, as a college, have been adding a lot of hardscape lately. We've been putting in parking lots left and right, but it's really happening all over the place. And the unfortunate thing is that when you do have a lot of precipitation, it carries all of this pollution into the streams. And the majority of waterways in Prescott are listed as impaired, meaning that they don't meet basic standards for water quality. So when we're talking about restoration, that's really something to consider mitigating. So this is, again, Willow Street, going down towards the creek, which the truck is about to cross. And you can see there's actually a channel here on the left. And it's awesome because the channel naturally filters the water onto the site. So instead of just sending it straight down the street into the creek, it gives us a chance to capture the water before it makes it into the creek. And one way to mitigate this runoff is to capture it in bioswales, which, if you don't know, are basically dugout basins where you can, as Joel has taught us, slow it, spread it, and sink it. You slow down the water, give it a chance to percolate down into the soil. It helps to filter the water. It also can be used for irrigating plantings. So there will be a series of bioswales in this area here. So again, this is Willow Street and water coming down onto this site. It'll be thickly planted with native vegetation that'll help to, mitigate the runoff. And there's a planted basin here that drains out into the site, which is why the trailer is going to take this little bend here so that we can plant more heavily here and help, again, absorb more of the extra water. So the next layer is the biological. I was really thrilled to find out recently that Arizona is rated 3rd in the nation for biodiversity, which is really incredible. Yeah. Considering that it's a desert and the stereotype is that deserts are, barren, like what grows in a desert? But apparently a lot. Right? And up to 84% of our wildlife, our total wildlife, depends directly on riparian habitat, riparian is streamside habitat. 84% of our wildlife, and which represents 30% of our biodiversity. So it's really important because we're tending to lose our riparian habitat. It currently represents less than 1% of our total landscape. So when you look at these numbers, it's really clear that it's important to protect our riparian zones and to restore them, even if they're in an urban setting and they don't seem like they would contribute to wildlife. They do. So in the restoration site as it exists now, we've been pulling out the invasive elms and other trees, and we've been replacing it with cottonwoods and willows, which is the natural riparian plant community that exists here in Arizona. They're beautiful trees. We have a lot of beautiful vegetation that is often overlooked for landscaping, but we'll be making use of it in the new restoration site. And of course, you can't have native vegetation without pollinators. We have an amazing array of butterflies and ants and everything that you could find that could pollinate. And I was really delighted and surprised to find that monarch butterflies actually migrate through Arizona on their way to either Mexico or to the California coast. But unfortunately, their numbers are declining as habitat disappears in the wake of urbanization. So part of the project is going to be creating a butterfly garden. And the Natural History Institute, which is also on campus, will be creating one as well. And we'll both be seeking Monarch Way Station certification through the Southwest Monarch Watch. And hopefully providing habitat for them, shelter, water, host plants, will also help bring back other pollinators and help with the restoration overall. So it might be kind of hard to see, but this section here that's cross-hatched is where the little wildflower garden is going to be. And then these are cottonwoods and willows, and we'll be replacing them along the creek as well. And onto the social layer. We are blessed with a Greenways trail through town. If you haven't had a chance to walk along it, I would highly recommend it. The city's been working on it for a long time, creating a recreational trail. It supports connectivity around town for businesses and communities, and it also provides a means of alternative transportation. It leads to a lot of really nice sights aesthetically. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and we've been working on bringing it to Prescott College campus. What you see in yellow is the trail that has already been completed, and what you see in red is proposed trail. Over here we have Prescott College campus. And again, this is a close-up. What you see over here is where it'll connect to the main trail, and then it'll actually go under Grove and through campus. And this is the Trailhead site down here. It's currently probably won't be going much further than that for a while because of private landowners upstream. But this is really wonderful because it'll bring more visitors to campus. It'll provide students, faculty, and staff with an alternative to roadways, which if you've ever ridden a bike in Prescott, yeah, that'll be a really wonderful thing. You'll actually be able to pass under Grove without ever having to cross any major roadways, which is huge. So yeah, as far as the site itself goes, there is a social trail that runs through the site right now, but whenever it rains, it becomes a creek bed. So the trail is actually going to be moved further upgrade, and there is a small stone circle here for people to congregate. There is signage, there'll be an interpretive panel, and lighting along the way. And yeah, I think it'll be a really wonderful asset for campus. That was basically my goal with this project. I wanted to create something that would be lasting, that could be used by the community and faculty and students. Yeah, and to extend the restoration site and keep going with the good work that the Butte Creek Restoration Council has already begun. Thank you so much to the other members of the Butte Creek Restoration Council. You guys are awesome, you know it. Thanks to the City of Prescott, who I've been working with, collaborating, and Prescott College. And thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Sarai.